Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer podcast coming at you. I've lost track of all the number of game weeks and all the other competitions as well, but here we are with myself, Gary Stryker, and the Qooligan. Qooligan, after your
Gary,
comments,
it's somewhere in the 30s, just like me.
it is somewhere in the 30s, just like you. And that's 30. Are we talking about your golf stroke here, your handicap golf stroke in your 30s? Or is it more this the age that you feel? Is that it?
Yeah, let's go with that.
We'll go with that.
Let's go with that.
Wonderful,
Ladies
wonderful.
and gentlemen, we're brought to you today by the American Museum of Tort Law. Not a real sponsor.
Yes,
Winstead, Connecticut's finest museum. Winstead, Connecticut's only museum.
Wow. There we go.
But really one of the best. I mean, a flaming Pinto. What better logo could we have for this podcast than a flaming Pinto?
Flaming Pinto, just basically it pretty much sums up the philosophy of how we approach these things, of just driving to them
so
on
true.
Fire, set it on fire. So
Existential dread on the coffee mug, flaming Pinto on the chest. It's going to be a fine pod today, Gary.
We're going. Caffeine is fueled up. We're loaded up with the caffeine.
So
and
caffeinated. So early in the morning, so caffeinated.
Wonderful. So look, we have quite an interesting agenda today. We are going to look back at the incredible Champions League results in the quarterfinals that happened this week. Wow, those were good. We're also going to touch on the CONCACAF Champions Cup quarterfinals as well. That was those games.
Another
last night.
Wow,
yes.
So unexpected. Really, one of the most shocking developments in soccer this week was just how exciting yesterday's matches were.
It was. It went from a Who Cares Cup to a Wow Cup. That was very, very exciting. Yes.
I mean, wow. Yeah, again.
Yeah. And so we'll go from looking
so spectacular.
We'll go from looking backwards and then looking forward into the weekend, obviously covering the Premier League game week that is coming up, which I believe is game week 32. And then also covering the MLS fixtures as well, which will be game week 8, as I understand it. So
that is game week 8. That is correct.
We'll try and wrap it up and keep it all under 40 minutes. But before we go on, I do just want to make an announcement and a request. Is that we were looking at the
this is new.
This is unheard. Yes, I'm going off script here as well, Qooligan.
Righty.
We have been looking at the agendas, and strangely, we have a growing audience. Every single episode seems to have been bigger than the last. So I am putting out a request for anyone who's listening to reach out to us, get in touch. Tell us what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, what you would like covered. Go to hooligan-soccer.com. Email us at hello@hooligan-sports. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Blue Sky. We're across all of those. Reach out to us, get in touch. We would love to hear from you and love some feedback as well. Yes.
Gary, I think that's very appropriate off scripting on your part.
The next phase.
I'm fully supportive of hearing from everybody as well. So
indeed,
particularly if you have anything that you would like to say about my co-host, you can just email me directly. No, I'm just kidding. Just go to hello at.
Yeah. Hello.
And you can insult Gary straight to his face. It's totally okay.
Well, we'll see about that. I did get into a little bit of a spat last night on Twitter as well regarding Suarez and his capability with his legs, but we'll get into that. Yeah, it was.
You
it was
do
interesting.
Realize the danger of spatting with Suarez, right? It usually ends.
I value my ears. Yes, I do value my ears.
It usually ends with the nibble somewhere, and not one of the playful ones.
Yeah.
So
more the aggressive BDSM that's got a little too far as well, Luis Suarez style, right? So that's
okay.
That's there we go. Okay, so let's start Champions League. Okay, yes. So first of all, I was looking back at some of the clips that we posted on social, and there was a wonderful clip of you and I both agreeing in concert that Arsenal did not stand a chance against Real Madrid. And we said, I don't see this happening. Both of us, yes, I have the clip. I can retweet it if you like. And me saying, I don't think Arsenal stand a chance. Real Madrid have too much pedigree and history in this competition. And then fast forward to the game. And my goodness.
I hold on, because you do the clips, so your memory is a little selective. I did give one example in which Arsenal had a chance, and that was if they came out quick and they punched Real in the nose, and they had them staggered, and that's what happened. I'm not saying that I'm right, because I still believe that Real Madrid was going to win. I own that. That was my call, right? And I still stand by that prediction. But I did at least give a window in which there was some sort of scenario in which Arsenal could succeed, and lo and behold, they did it. Arsenal, despite a successful run in the league, despite sitting in second place, beside getting all to here, is still the team that everybody goes, how did they do that? Because they've never really managed to have consistency after, over long periods of time. But yet they always seem to get these flurries of brilliance that propel them forward. And in the game this week, that brilliance was personified by Declan Rice. And there's no other way to put it.
Wow. I mean, you couldn't have hit a better free kick. The first one was amazing. You're like, okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. Well, the second one was the best one. Well, the second one was the best one.
Kicks.
Yes. It was that second one particularly as well. You couldn't have put it in a better. The only way it could have been a better goal is if it hit the bottom hand side of the bar and bounced in off the bar. But I mean, that was just millimeters. But Courtois was beaten, absolutely beaten. It was incredible.
No, we were slacking each other, Gary, in real time during this game, and I do recall I said there is no way Declan Rice can hit another free kick like that. Holy crap, he did it. That was
holy crap.
Like
he did it again. He did it again. What a time to turn up. And it's just one of those things where you're just on form. You just hit two really, really good shots, and what a time to hit them as well. That's what they call big match occasion, right? Playing big occasion games and delivering.
Yeah, he put his big boy shorts on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And stepped up tremendously. And listen, literally everybody who's anybody who follows this game has seen both of those kicks, and you don't have, and you're right. The nerve of stepping up a second time, having already beaten the wall with a beautiful whip. The first one had better whip, in my opinion.
Yeah, it did.
But the second one had that perfect balance and that perfect marriage between power, precision, and angle. And and Courtois on that side.
Yeah. And he's
6'5". He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And he can't even get close to that. It was in a different zip code.
Beaten. Absolutely beaten. Yes. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. No, it's
remarkable. And so we have the and so what will be interesting is the second leg and and how they go back and how Real respond and how Arsenal hold on. Do they approach this game with a philosophy of let's just hold on and defend for our lives, or we've got a 3-goal lead, they're going to have to come at us, let's play counter-attacking football and go and hit them on the counter. I think that will be interesting to see.
If they try to hold, they'll lose. I hate to say it, right? Because like you said, Real is genuinely too strong.
Yeah.
They're going to have to go into the Bernabeu and play their ass off again.
You have to.
This is not a, oh gee, we're 3-0 up and waltz through the tiptoe through the tulips scenario.
They're coming for you. Real are coming for you.
They are coming for you, and you're going to have to produce.
And the best form of defense is attack. So just get at them would be my approach if I was Mikel Arteta. And then the interesting how I think one of the other highlights of this on social media was Anne Hathaway. Did you see her singing singing?
I
did you see that as well?
I did.
It's wonderful to see these celebrity fans as well coming in as well. I don't feel
and she's been Arsenal for a long time. She's been a She's been a gooner for this isn't a recent thing for her.
She knew the words. So no, she's a legit fan.
She's been a gooner for at least a decade, if not more. I remember hearing about this a few years ago and being like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," and just sort of tilting my head, because celebrities will bandwagon pretty much anything, but she's not a bandwagoner.
No, she's not a bandwagoner. She's a legit fan. Yeah. So that was really good to see. Okay, so bouncing around the other matches as well, I think the Bayern Inter game was probably sort of the closest affair. It was the closest affair. Inter did very well to go to Bayern and sort of get a result there.
They did.
I do feel that Bayern are going to have a bit of an uphill struggle. I know they're 1 goal down, but they are going to have an uphill struggle to go to the San Siro and go and try and get something from Inter, because they will defend for their lives as the Italians do.
Agreed.
Right? So yeah, so that was the softest one. And then in terms of some of the other games, PSG Aston Villa. Wow, PSG I know I have not been the hugest fan of PSG sort of historically. I know when they went on the Galactico philosophy of, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, and having all those big stars and just going and buying talent and instead of stacking it, doing it a la Real Madrid. They've obviously changed their philosophy now and said you play for the team, you're not an individual. And they just look really, really efficient. I know they don't play in the best league in terms of the French league in terms of competition, but the way they turned over Liverpool, and then obviously now the way they turned over Villa, they are a strong outfit, and they are. I mean, if you get this deep, everyone's got a chance. But with a 3-1 lead at Villa, it looks pretty sort of comfortable. Villa would have to really dig deep if they want to get anything, and I don't think they're going to get it.
I totally concur. It transformative. And also based on the way PSG was playing earlier in the Champions League, I didn't see much, chemistry, kismet, other than Dembele, who was who seemed like a singular. I mean, one, he's a singular talent, undoubtedly, but you're right. As a unit, PSG has matured. They have developed, and they have their own teen sensation now, right?
Yes.
And Desiree Doué.
That goal he scored. That goal is special.
I don't know where he came out of. He was not on my radar at all. You're right. I don't follow French soccer much, so okay. But goodness me, he was
special.
He was magical in this game. But then also, and you don't hear this said often, what shrewd signings PSG made over the winter break, because this Georgian left winger, Kvicha.
Yep.
Right?
Kvicha, Kvaratskhelia, I think. I butchered it.
Kvaratskhelia. Yeah, very tricky to pronounce. I'm probably butchering it, and my apologies. However,
and tricky to defend against by the looks of it as well, because he's special.
He completely broke Disasi. I mean, he had him spun around 2 ways to Sunday, and then just powered that thing in on the inside. I mean, and then take it to the inside post so fast, keeper's hands couldn't even make it in time.
Yeah,
wonderful. And then, of course, they got that third one in stoppage time.
Cherry on the top.
Another gorgeous cut from Mendes.
They look really good. And what's interesting is before, did you see Emi Martinez, the Aston Villa, an Argentinian goalkeeper, going up against obviously a lot of the French players because of the World Cup final? I don't know if you saw that he was wearing a cap with the last 4 trophies that he's won as an Argentina player. So there's like 2 Copa Americas, 1 World Cup, and then obviously I think there was a 4th one winding them up. And he got absolutely, I mean, even that he
of course he was.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just talk about antagonizing the beast and just sort of having it sort of egg on your face, as it were. He really did. Yeah, didn't look too good. Speaking of,
and Doué probably looked at that, said, "I don't even recognize what those things are. It doesn't matter." Yeah, shut up, old man. He put one on the post that Martinez admittedly had a wonderful save, because that thing was going in, and Martinez actually had to kind of do a 180 spin around and palm the ball off the line. It was a good save on his part. Yeah. One, but yeah, he got worked.
Yeah, he definitely got worked.
He got worked.
Yeah, he really did. I have to say, this Georgian Chiva, as he's called, that there's a style of player that he does remind me of, where it's these sort of technical dribblers who are very good in the final third, sort of coming inside. And there's something about these type of players that always wear short socks. I don't know if you've noticed this, and there's a look to them as well. Do you know what I mean by that? Where they have the sort of short
I know
socks?
What you mean by the short socks.
Yeah, the short socks
and the postage card,
shin guards, right? Yeah. And they're always very technical and very good dribblers. There's something about it as well. These kind of players that have that as well.
I actually have a poster. I think I have a poster card or a playing card, shin guard right here. Yep, here it is.
That's okay. Wonderful.
Ooh, bless you. Excuse me for sneezing.
But anyway, I think PSG probably look as though they're sort of going to go through. And then the other game as well, which was there, which obviously Barcelona just completely rolling over Dortmund. I mean, Dortmund it wasn't even a contest.
Not in the same league.
Yeah, and again, Barcelona, that front three, what I really like about that front three is you have Lewandowski, who's 37 years old, 36 years old, experienced, one of the best strikers of his generation.
Yep.
Then you have Rafinha, who's sort of like mid-20s and obviously sort of probably coming into the prime of his career. And then you've got 17-year-old Lamine Yamal. So you've got this sort of like trident of sort of an attacking force of experience, youth, and then sort of, prime performance. And my God, they really do look like a very, 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 very good outfit.
It is a front three that can rival some of Barcelona's best. I hate to say it, right? They are.
You think better than MSN, better than Messi, Neymar, Suarez when they're all in their prime? Better than
time will tell.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Time
better
will tell.
Than Stoichkov, Figo, Ronaldo 9 back in the early 90s.
I'm not. I think it's tricky to say better than, but I think it's fair to say comparable to.
Yes. Well, if they win the
because each generation, and you're talking about a decade, right? A decade apart, have their own challenges, their own struggles, their own everything. And so each of them excel in their own ways. This group, though, I think represents a Barcelona that struggled mightily with some financial issues, which they're still going through, and a fall from grace that they're single-handedly bringing that team back. And so from a pure statistical standpoint, no, they're not better. But from a emotional standpoint, they're at least as good.
They are definitely up there. And what will be interesting now is if they go on and deliver, and if they can go win the Champions League, then you can probably start having that conversation, and because they're justified of winning the Champions League, right?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
you're right.
And
they do at least have to get a trophy first before we can really start having this conversation.
Exactly. Well, speaking of like trophy first, do you know there are those teams in those seasons as well that go on? Generally, the ones that win the Champions League are so good, they've won their league and their respective leagues, and then they have their domestic cups as well. PSG and Barcelona are the only two teams in that final 8 who have the possibility to go and do a clean sweep in all of their domestic leagues if they win the Champions League. PSG have obviously already won Ligue 1. There's 2 French Cups as well that they're on their way to. Barcelona, I think, have already run is it the Copa del Rey? I believe it is. They've already won it.
I believe so.
And they're in top of the La Liga as well. So what's interesting are the way the brackets are set up. Now, assuming Arsenal go ahead and beat Real Madrid, in terms of looking what a final could look like, because the semifinals, Arsenal and Real Madrid winner plays against PSG, Aston Villa winners. You could have a PSG Barcelona final, which would look very compelling. You could also, if Real Madrid turn over Arsenal, which again is that's a big task, you could have an El Clasico final, which could be an interesting one. And that's obviously assuming it to get past Barcelona, because you imagine Barcelona through to the semis now with that result. But yeah. And then speaking of other fans as well, alongside Anne Hathaway, I know I covered this a little bit. Did you see Prince William, a diehard Aston Villa fan, giving some punditry beforehand as well? And he knows his stuff. Not a bandwagoner as well. Definitely not a bandwagoner.
Nope. That's
talking
also
about
true.
The press, was talking about the high press and some of the tactics as well. So that was also good to see the caliber.
He did not have a happy look on his face at the end of that game. I'll tell you that much.
Well, he left early.
He was there greeting all the players before they went into the locker room, and it's got to be a little demoralizing for the Villa.
There was a photo of him celebrating as the first goal went in. As I think it was Morgan Rogers' first goal went in. So and then obviously it all went down.
Yeah, that was the start of 3 minutes and 30 seconds of optimism for Birmingham.
Yes,
didn't last long.
It did not last long.
Never does Birmingham. I'm sorry.
Paris versus Birmingham, slightly different cultural capitals, right?
A little bit.
Indeed. Okay, so let's cover the Champions League. Let's go to the other side of the Atlantic and then have the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is obviously the North American equivalent of the Champions League. Again, normally we have sort of dismissed this competition and thought, it's not that compelling and not that interesting. But as I say, we were messaging each other last night during that Miami game. That was really, really electric. Very electric. Really good. Messi wants it. What I loved is when he scored, the reaction. You can see he's not just there for the money. He's not just there to just see his career out into the sunset. He was passionate, and that is all you want to see as a soccer fan, right?
Gary, you had listen. I'm not a big fan of Inter Miami. I like Messi and all this, and I'm always on the fence about the impact that he's having inside MLS and what does it really mean long term, blah, blah, blah. But by God, he really does want it. It's clear. It's just so obvious. It's just so clear. And in so many cases, you could see in the body language, in the eyes, everything that he was doing. I mean, he had a nasty kick out in the 92nd minute that very nearly caught an LAFC player and might have gotten him a straight red.
He got body checked, or isn't it? I think it was Morocco.
No. Well, the body check was one thing. We'll talk about about the descent into WWE territory in a second. But I'm looking. That's Messi does not normally get cards. I mean, it's happened. He is capable of fouling. He is capable of even petty, cynical fouling. That one that I saw right there at the tail end of that game when LAFC was on a breakaway. I mean, he literally swung his leg at that guy, and he missed. And he's lucky that he missed, because if he hadn't, that referee, I think, would have probably would have been a yellow. But you could have made an argument for a straight red.
You could have,
yeah. I mean, I certainly would want to be the referee that gives Lionel Messi a straight red.
Yeah.
but I mean, we'll wait and see.
It was justified, yeah. That body check, though, it was at Marlon was the player as well. I mean, body checking Messi, I mean, that's like walking into sort of like, the Met in New York in a way, and just going and knocking over a statue as well. It's like a fine piece of art that's Messi, and just going and body checking. I felt that was a little bit unnecessary, not justified.
I completely and utterly disagree. Listen, it was a cynical foul. I agree with that. But was it a bad foul? No. Look at it. He was not hit hard. He was not like endangered. Yes, it was a yellow. And of course, Inter Miami's reaction is appropriate for a person of Messi's talismanic status, right? But watch how many cards are going to come out in the disciplinary proceedings that will follow. I thought the referee did a fantastic job. At that point in the game, he did not stop, do VAR, and issue cards at the field. He said, let's get on with this.
Yeah, that's good. Because it descends
he gave a yellow to Marlon.
Yeah.
And he just went, let's move on. Let's get this game going, because he could have completely taken away all the momentum.
Yeah. And smart.
Right? And he didn't. And I thought that was a great call on his part, going, you know what? We've got disciplinary proceedings that can occur after the game on this, because there were at least 2 players that grabbed necks and hit faces.
Yeah.
Jordi Alba's one, and he should get he should get a red, because he went in and grabbed somebody in the neck. And that is not allowed.
Yeah.
So Alba's one. There's probably an LAFC player. But yeah, there should be discipline here, because while it's great to go in and protect your player, I mean, there were people throwing full body tackles.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't have that, and they've got to put a line in the sand.
And this is what's interesting as well, as we talk about like the Club World Cup coming up, and then obviously the World Cup. And what's interesting is I always notice this as well, that the caliber of the sort of the soccer in these sort of international competitions is a lot higher, because all of a sudden FIFA sets a very high bar in terms of issuing yellow cards, like little things like if you kick a ball away or petulance or anything like that, instant yellow card, and then suspensions rack up very quickly. What was interesting to see is there was an element of, I think it was Jordi Alba, he got hit and he did a few extra rolls and extra somersaults as well, just to sort of get a bit of attention. I would like to see that if we could sort of like stamped out of the game with basically sort of firmer sort of application of the rules and sort of setting them. And again, that's, I think, how you can sort of raise the level, but that's just
a great. You talk about Jordi Alba, but if you watch the Pumas Vancouver game, Pumas was taking that to an art form.
Yeah. But
they were taking flopping and time wasting and histrionics to the next level.
Yes.
And it was actually kind of like,
it's bad for the game.
Nauseating, but it was disappointing. I'm like,
yeah,
seriously?
It's bad to see. Well, but look, they're out now as well. And so that maybe there's an element. But again, this will be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did want to say one thing. All this talk about Messi is great. And Messi, yes, he was fantastic. But I swear to God, he was not the best player for Inter Miami in that game.
Who was it? Redondo? He looked pretty good. I like Redondo. Who?
No. Oscar Ustari.
Okay.
The goalkeeper. Did you see those saves that he made to keep them in that game?
That one where he tipped against the post.
This was not hit that one save against Bouanga's header in the 88th minute, right before Messi got body checked. That was the save.
It was very
good. And
then
Bouanga's one-on-one. Now, you can argue Bouanga should have waited and done this and done that, but still, he had to come out, shut him down, and save that. 2 saves right there. Any one of those balls goes in, Miami's out.
Yeah, that's it. He did. He kept him in the game. He did. He did really deliver. Yeah.
Messi won the game, but Ustari ensured that they advanced.
That's the sign of a good goalkeeper, isn't it? They save games.
Absolutely. And nobody gave him any credit.
Yeah. Well,
except Hooligan Soccer, ladies and gentlemen. Read the article.
It did. You did very well in covering that. It was very true. Interestingly, 38 years old, just looking at his career as well. I mean, quite a journeyman as well. He's bounced around a lot of pretty much every single Argentinian team. He's played at Newell's old boys, Messi's old team, Boca, Almira. He even played at Sunderland for a short period, but didn't get any game time. And then Pachuca, and they're sort of quite the journeyman as well. But he played really well for a 38-year-old goalkeeper. Very, very impressive. So that means in terms of the semifinals, we are into the sort of semifinal territory as well. So you're going to definitely have an MLS team in the final, which I know is not a regular occurrence. So that's going to be an interesting development. So which I think just shows the level that the MLS is sort of increasing.
Well, actually,
the caliber.
Actually, you're not guaranteed an MLS team in the final, right? Because Vancouver now have to go on and play. Oh, wait, no, you're right.
Play Inter, yes.
Because Vancouver's playing Inter. Duh.
Exactly. So, yeah. So one of them will get through, right? Whoop. Yes, exactly. One of them will get
Pinto,
through.
Ladies and gentlemen. Flaming Pinto in the brain.
Get that caffeine going.
Nope, you're right. You're right. We will have an MLS team in the final, and the other one will be Liga MX. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the other team, obviously, you will have is Cruz Azul against, obviously, Pumas. Sorry, not Vancouver. Nope. Sorry, Cruz Azul against Tigres, who rolled over my Galaxy. Galaxy, yes. I don't know, it's a little bit Manchester City-esque in a way, where you just don't have any faith in them to deliver or come through at all in any way. There was no expectations here. Yeah, so Galaxy.
Right. They didn't perform. I do want to give a shout out to Vancouver though, because what a story for a team that has existed inside the gray middle for so long, and never really had anything that never really had any like remarkable success. They got a new manager, and they've got a young squad with some really good, talent. And they are producing. And this game here against Pumas wasn't the best game all the way through. Like I said, Pumas
they're difficult.
Were
they're
dramatic.
difficult to play against.
They were flopping. They were doing this. It was, and both of their goals came off rebounds from the Japanese keeper Yohei Takioka, who actually made great saves. And so unfortunate. All of his parries went right back to a Pumas player who put the ball in the net. And these were not easy tap-in finishes. Like there was one where the player was midair and the ball just came in and he managed to keep it on frame. So, I mean, well done to Pumas for scoring. Boo to Pumas for the histrionics. And then Eddie Ocampo. Wow. He just willed himself down to the line in the 93rd minute. Ball's rolling out. And he just scoops it. And then Tristan Blackman, right? Who sure, you can pretend you know his name, but you never knew his name. Just banged it in. Blackman's only had one goal for the Whitecaps in his history. That was against Dallas last month in March. That was a game winner. But this one, sorry, you're never going to get anything finer. It tore the hearts out of the Pumas fans. Absolutely, just ripped the hearts right out of their chest.
Pretty brutal.
Terrible.
Pretty brutal. Yeah. Well, that's the Champions, the CONCACAF Champions Cup as well. So we've got the semifinals coming up there as well, and so that will be interesting to see.
The semifinals will start in 2 weeks.
Wonderful.
First legs in 2 weeks.
It's exciting. Well, hopefully the level of competition continues, because that was pure entertainment. I do, I think I did mention at the beginning, it was, I do feel, again, I know I've mentioned this many times before about the idea of the MLS needs to sort of try and get off of the idea of signing existing stars and create their own. But you do get situations with, as I mentioned before, Luis Suarez, right? It just seems to me that the game has left his body and he's just trying to stay in the show a little bit longer. I think you called it out. You said to me, and as we were back channeling as well, he tried when that bicycle kick attempt as well. It's like, okay, you haven't scored in a long time. Don't just yeah. No. I feel that this is probably the time to probably sort of hang up your boots at some point.
To that point, Gary, you've now got a semifinal with two conflicting MLS strategies. You've got Inter Miami, who have brought in these aging stars, admittedly amazing aging stars, right? And then you've got Vancouver, who have no stars, right? In the sense that, no, I mean, they don't really. They do have some designated players, but none of them are world class and are really doing it with a bunch of homegrown academy kids and some what you would call journeyman American players who are making the trip up, to British Columbia. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It'll be an exciting one.
It's very exciting.
Indeed. Okay, so just in the name of time and keeping this tight, let's move on to MLS game week 8 that we have coming up here as well. Obviously, despite all of that activity, obviously Miami will be playing on Sunday against Chicago. They'll be
this is a great opportunity for Chicago.
This is definitely.
Chicago absolutely have to seize the bull by the horns, and they got to step on Miami's neck and win. I think they have the ability. Fire have done a great job of retooling their team under Greg Berhalter, right? So they've been, while they haven't been perfect, they've at least been fun to watch, which you can't say about Chicago. In the last few years, Chicago hasn't been fun to watch, and at least now they're playing. So they're dynamic, they're exciting, and so this is a great chance for them to really make a name for themselves and grab some headlines.
Yeah, indeed. I think the other game that jumps out at my side is in the Western Conference. You've got Vancouver against Austin. And so Austin really needs to sort of get on top of this and sort of beat Vancouver. Yeah. I know they're 3 points behind already in the Western Conference. I know they're in that top 4, which is fine. But in terms of this, like Vancouver can really start running away with it as well. So I think that will be an interesting game for me to cover off and definitely be checking out and watching. And then, of course, my new beloved San Diego are playing Colorado, obviously. And you think it's amazing. They're still flying. They're still going. I know it's only sort of 7 games in, and obviously this is the 8th game of the season, but my goodness, this is exciting. It's really exciting.
I think we'll have to see how they handle the altitude, right? That is one thing that can be a little tricky for teams going up to Colorado. It is a factor. They should be able to do it. I would expect them to win. On my radar is Montreal, not because they're good. They're not. They suck. But they're finally playing at home. So Montreal had the dubious distinction of their first 7 games being on the road.
Wow. Really?
Think about how hard that is for a team.
Is that just the structure of just the way the draws have come and just the sort of the algorithm has pulled out the fixtures, or how is that? How did that happen?
It's either that or sign that people really hate Canada. I don't think that's true, but no, they may have been doing some stadium renovation or something else like that. I don't actually know the reason.
Okay. Weather related perhaps as well, but I mean,
no, Montreal, we're going to have to ask our fellow podcaster, Observer of Football, who covers all things Canadian in the soccer group, what is happening with Montreal in that regard. But they're finally at home.
That's good.
So good kudos to them. Good luck. You're facing Charlotte FC. I think it's going to be a beat down from Charlotte.
Well, I mean, they've only got 2 points the entire season. So they are not looking good in any way, shape, or form.
They're not looking good. And then the other one that really catches my eye, again, not because these are good teams, but because this is truly a battle to see who will dwell in the swamp. The LA Galaxy hosts Houston.
So yes.
Wow.
This is
I mean,
not pretty. Yeah, this is
it's not pretty, but it does matter. Matters a lot to both teams because this is, you've got to think both coaches are looking at this going, this is our chance to turn the season around.
Yep.
And it's good luck. Good luck.
It's astounding what is happening at Galaxy. How they just went from last season, obviously, sort of being so dominant and so strong, to just disappeared. My kids were watching the original. What was the Michael Jordan film? The original basketball one. What's the Michael Jordan?
Space Jam?
Space Jam, exactly. And I was watching it, and you know how suddenly all the sort of the NBA players just lose their ability all of a sudden, and obviously Michael Jordan has to go there. There is a Space Jam-esque sort of mentality going on here at LA Galaxy. They've just lost their ability to play. What is going on there? What is going on?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, listen, these things happen. Teams have slumps. This is an 8-game slump like this, including
cup competitions.
Including all the. They're just they are. No, I don't know what's happening. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay.
And they're not in, and they're not even going to get a chance in the Open Cup to come back, because I don't think they're participating in the Open Cup. There's quite a few MLS teams who, have said no, thank you.
Yeah.
They've opted out of that. Some with good reason, like Seattle, who are in the Club World Cup, but Inter is in the same boat, and they've allowed their academies to represent them in their stead. That's okay, So, but still, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see if they can come out of it, or if indeed they're going to be eating from the wooden spoon at the end of the season.
That would be a real interesting story about how going on, obviously winning the MLS Cup, to then changing it and sort of being, we'll see. Who knows if they'll turn it around? But as you say, they don't have any sort of general allocation money to spend as well. So I don't know if maybe they make some
can't buy their way out of this, Gary. They can't buy their way out of it.
The only other way would be, obviously, you cut one of your designated players and go and find another designated player, a la Kevin De Bruyne or something like that, and see if they can turn your fortunes around. But that just
De Bruyne would never sign with them. If he had any credibility, he would not sign with them.
Well, Thomas Müller is another one who's been mentioned.
De Bruyne wants to win, and you attach yourself into that turtlet? No way. You're not winning. You're just spinning around. Around the bowl, waiting to get flushed down.
This season, this is true. And the other one as well floating around is Thomas Müller. Again, we keep going back into these fading stars coming over as well, having last one show. And we'll see what happens.
By the way, anybody who signs Müller, that's an incredible signing. That guy's ruthless.
He is very, very good. Again, has the game left him, or where, again, do you get a Suarez situation where you get 18 months out of him?
No, the game hasn't left him. He still got it. No, I'm sorry. He still got it.
Well, obviously scored against Inter yesterday. So, so that was,
came on as a substitute and gave a little life back to him. That's important.
Indeed. Okay. So just in the name of time, and then final chapter in the agenda, Premier League. So
Premier League.
We were looking through this beforehand.
It's not over, ladies and gentlemen. It's still going on.
It's not over. Yes. Game week 32 coming up. I think we could probably agree that, again, as we've said many times, Liverpool are pretty much, it's theirs to lose. I know they lost last week. They lost last week. Is the wheels wobbling? I don't think so. I think there's not enough room for Arsenal to catch up, and clearly their attentions are probably more on the Champions League. However, the interesting thing that did happen as of yesterday, because Arsenal beat Real Madrid and the rankings and the structure of everything, what it now means is it has confirmed that the 5th place finisher in the Premier League for the first time ever will qualify for the Champions League. So Arsenal inadvertently have done either Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City, Aston Villa, or dare I say it, Fulham. Keep going. Palace, Brighton.
Crystal Palace. Thank you, Gary. Yep.
Palace to Europe. Yes,
it's still possible.
Well,
it's still possible.
Arsenal have done you a favor. Yeah,
Yes, they have.
The Qooligan and Anne Hathaway, the two happiest people from that Arsenal result.
Well, quite frankly, and Anne, my calendar is open. If you would like to do a duet, I would happily join you in a sing off. So.
Yes. So what this done is it's shifted, because I think it's fair to say that probably the 3 relegation teams, I know last week Wolves played Ipswich, and Ipswich looked like they were sort of maybe had a chance, and they went 1-0 up, I believe, and then their Wolves came back and won 2-1.
Couldn't do it.
I think the 3 teams locked in, the 3 teams that got promoted are getting relegated as well. So that's locked in. There's nothing really much going on down at the bottom of the table. Liverpool have probably won it. Arsenal are sort of far enough ahead to probably lock in 2nd place. So I think the attention for the sort of the rest of the season really turns now to those European places and who gets what. spot and who gets where. Forest also had a loss, and obviously Forest actually have an interesting fixture because they are playing against Everton, and Everton are, a pretty sort of informed team. They're churning out a lot of draws. I know they're not winning, but they're drawing and frustrating. So we'll see if Forest run out of steam a little bit. Of course, Forest still in the FA Cup as well, so they've got a couple of interesting sort of competitions to play for. But out of this, any of these games on this week's this Premier League game week that jump out at you, aside from Man City Palace, obviously that's the big one.
Yeah. Well, no, and Palace have a double, right? So they have to play 2 fixtures in this game week. They play Man City. They host Man City, or no, they don't host. They travel to Manchester for the early game on Saturday, and then they get a little bit of a break, and then they have to travel to Newcastle on Wednesday. So this is the crucible for Palace, because getting any points out of these fixtures will help in my fever dream of them making Europe through actual placement in the Premier League, as opposed to winning the FA Cup, which we all know is going to happen anyway. So, sure.
Well, again, this 5th place thing has also sort of done you a favor as well, because again, if Man City finish 5th and win the FA Cup against Palace,
right, then
they automatically get
down.
that European spot. It not only moves down, they get that automatic qualification European spot from getting to the FA Cup final. But obviously, they could still also do it on a league basis.
It's our year, Gary.
You can see, come on, Palace. Yeah, I mean,
everything's coming to Palace, baby.
Palace have the best form over the last 5 games. In the entire Premier League. They have, with 4 wins and a draw, they have the best form. So if Palace can keep this momentum
don't sound
up,
surprised saying that. No? Okay, you can sound surprised.
It is surprising. I cannot believe that we're discussing it. I mean, the interesting thing is now you just want to sort of look ahead, and you guys, Bournemouth are obviously ahead of you, and you guys can leapfrog them if they play against Fulham, who are also having a really, really good season as well. So there is a world in which Palace can get up into 10th if they win against Man City. I know we're reaching here. We are reaching, but we're allowed to dream here. And then, looking at it, it's going to be an interesting one as well. And so Newcastle, did you say Newcastle also have a double header as well? Is that
correct? They have
a
double as well. Yeah, they play Manchester United, which is interesting. They play Manchester United in the late game on Sunday and then have to play Palace on Wednesday. So Palace have a little bit more recovery time in this one. But they're on the road both games, whereas Newcastle is at home twice. So, that's great for Newcastle. I think their game against Manchester United should be a really interesting one. United is still in the doldrums after that disappointing, after that truly disappointing derby. We'll see what happens in today's Europa League for Manchester, because listen, Europa League quality and the clubs they're playing, they should be winning. Okay, I'm going to just come straight out and say it. And they have been doing the business in the Europa League. Good for them. But their fans still think the Prem matters, and they don't want to be in the bottom half.
Yeah.
And they're squarely in bottom half territory, G. And it's not going to be pretty, right? If they end up, and lo and like, oh my goodness, what if they end up like 14th or 15th? Ooh,
it's no reason why that
ugly.
That will probably happen. I mean, Everton.
And Everton right now is looking primed to be able to. They're going to finish ahead of Manchester United. This Everton team,
David Moyes. Yep,
David Moyes. Thank you for the bounce.
Yeah.
Wow. He's the bounciest manager around.
He is indeed. He's done wonders with them. He's really turned them around again. Just turn them back into that traditional Everton where they just grind out draws and results. They're difficult to play against, and they'll pick up points and they'll survive and they'll be good for it. I think, and that
I'm going to come out and say my upset pick of the week: Leicester's going to beat Brighton at home.
Interesting. Okay, relegated or pretty much nailed on Leicester. I mean, they've won the last 5 games.
Absolutely in the shitter. And something's gonna happen.
So
they're gonna come into Brighton and they're gonna surprise them.
You think because it's particularly the last 8 games, like 8 home games, they've not scored a goal and lost every single game.
They haven't scored a goal. They haven't done anything. They are in such bad form, Gary, that the universe is going to reward them with some extra spark, life, and cojones.
This is definitely.
I think they're going to do it. I really do.
We're going to clip that soundbite. We're going to spray it all over social media, and then we'll bring back to it. We'll come back to it on Sunday, on Monday.
Because when it comes true, I'll make you eat those words.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I think the other interesting game for me would be Forest Everton. Again, I'm sort of really am just, it's wonderful what Forest are doing. I think just the way they're playing and what they've done. If they could, again, now that there are 5 in the Champions League, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but again, just hold on, guys. Just keep going. Just keep grinding, keep getting the results. They can get that Champions League spot. And
there's every reason to think they can. They're not a one-trick pony. They're not just Chris Wood up front. They're not just this. They're not just that. They're not just flashy attacks. They're not just counter strikes. They do have a little bit of the whole package, and they're piecing it together. So yeah, like you said, stay strong.
I mean, they've played counter-attacking soccer all season long, and it's been wonderful to see. It's really been wonderful to see, and yeah, they've done absolute wonders as well. Super. Okay, so you've got in your upset pick of the week, which is Leicester winning. I don't know about that one too much as well. I think Liverpool, West Ham, generally at home. Liverpool, they just need to win. I think it's 5 more games. Is that right as well?
5 more games.
5 more games as well. So they'll just be knocking them down.
Actually, it might be 5 games in a draw or 4 games in a draw.
4 games in a draw.
But somewhere in that 5-game territory, there's a combination that gets them locks it in there as well. And again, you'd think, again, it's theirs to lose and expect them to do it as well. So yeah, wonderful. Well, as always, Qooligan, we've bounced around both sides of the Atlantic as well. European competitions, CONCACAF Champions Cup, MLS, Premier League. And then we have driven our flaming Pinto to the ground.
Driven it there. And again, listeners, if you have made it all the way through this 45 minutes of us rambling and bleating on and talking absolute nonsense and sometimes and having epiphanies as well, like the Qooligan has just had about Leicester, again, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Until then, Qooligan, until next week, enjoy.
Peace.